Broadcasting from the Solo Studios in the back room of Muppet Laboratories here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, in the center of North America on this little planet we call Earth, this is the Solo Show. On this edition, we look back at 2019 and look ahead to the new year 2020. And now, please welcome your host, the man who was Professor Bunsen Honeydew's original lab partner, Stan Solo.
Hello and welcome to this edition of the Solo Show. I am Stan Solo, and this week we are doing things a little bit differently. I am all alone in the Solo Studios. But do not worry, you won't be listening to my voice only for the next, 15, 20, 25, 45 minutes. I have some past co-hosts of the Solo Show and some future co-hosts of the Solo Show. And this is our New Year's special. We're going to talk about our favorite things we did for the past year, for 2019, as well as we're looking forward to the most in 2020, a new decade starting. And we're going to just kind of pass the mic along. We're not going to be sort of chit-chatting or talking in between. Just kind of more of a casual or semi-formal, whatever it is. We're going to pass the mic around and just kind of talk about our highlights of 2019, what we're looking forward to the most in 2020. So I'll start off. 2019 was huge. I had a great 2019. It's going to be hard to beat. I don't know, 2020, you got a lot to live up to. Started off the year in January, going to Walt Disney World, and had a great time, met a lot of friends. A solo trip to Walt Disney World. Then in April, went to Star Wars Celebration in Chicago, or my first trip to Chicago. It was a blast. Loved the city. Chicago was amazing. It was a great, great time. Went to see a Cubs game, my first Major League game, not including going to Minneapolis. I got to go to more Major League Baseball games. I really enjoy baseball. Yeah, Star Wars Celebration. Then in August, went to Disneyland with Scott Clark. You might know him from the Grand Circle Tour Mandalorian episodes or chapter reviews, roundtable discussions. Scott and I had a great time at Disneyland, and we went to D23 Expo, got to meet a lot of friends at D23 Expo, had a great time there. I went to an Angels game, 2 Major League Baseball games, which a guy from the prairies in Canada, you don't get to see Major League Baseball in person too much. So it was great. I really enjoyed both the Cubs game and the Angels game. D23 Expo was great. Had a great time there. And we went to another trip to Disney World in the fall for their Halloween time. 2019 was phenomenal. It was great. For 2020, we got Star Wars Celebration coming up in Anaheim. That's probably going to be the highlight for 2020. Got a trip planned for Walt Disney World with my wife. We're calling it the secret trip because everyone knows where I'm going, but we're just keeping it to ourselves. We're going to keep it low key and not do so many meetups on this one in 2020. And that's about it. 2020 it's gonna be a softer year. But what I am looking forward to is more solo show episodes and adventures. It's something I'm really looking forward to for 2020. It would be hope to have you on, the listener. If you are interested in joining us, send us an email. And we'll see about getting you on the solo show. I really like this concept that we're doing. I'm really enjoying doing the solo show. It's been a blast for 2019 or the later half of 2019, and really looking forward to the rest of 2020 doing the solo show. And along with that, Grand Circle Tour podcast, we have a major announcement coming up. It's going to come out about the same time as this episode or this edition of the solo show comes out. So you might already know about it. If you haven't heard about our major announcement, be sure to head over to the Grand Circle Tour podcast and see what's happening over there, because some really exciting things happening with the Grand Circle Tour for 2020. I got some really exciting things planned for the solo show in 2020. And I just can't wait. It's going to be fun. We'll see where this adventure takes us. And I'm going to pass the mic on to the next person, and I'll catch you at the end.
Hello, everybody. This is David Picciano, and I am the co-founder, along with my wife, Kim, of Now That's Disney. It's a Facebook page. I'm also on the Mousecast podcast, and avid Disney fan. Greatest Disney memory of 2019 has to be visiting Animal Kingdom Lodge and staying there. We stayed in July as a family. I've always wanted to stay there. So I'd have to say, actually getting to live out that dream of staying at the resort that I've always wanted to go to. And it was exactly what I thought. You open up your balcony and have a savanna view, and there's animals out there, which was unbelievable to see. Oh boy. I'm most excited for visiting Disney World in 2020 along with my family, my wife and my son, Colton. We are really looking forward to visiting Star Wars Land, which we haven't visited yet, doing Rise of the Resistance and Smuggler's Run and just taking in the entire land. So I'd have to say, along with Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway that's going to open in March, we're visiting in April 2020. So those are the two things that I'm really looking forward to the most.
And do you have any special New Year's wishes for anybody?
Yeah. So I have like to wish Happy New Year's to all of our Disney fans, our Disney Ohana on Now That's Disney, and out there, all the folks that drop in and listen to the solo show. Happy New Year, happy holidays, whatever you're celebrating. Enjoy it. Have a great time.
Well, hey there. This is Jeff Moliterno. I'm with the WDW POV live stream show. Stands for Walt Disney World Point of View. And we have a live stream show that we do Monday nights at 8 p.m., usually Monday nights at 8 p.m., most of the time. We've also got a Facebook page, Facebook group, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and a website, all called WDW POV. So if you're ever looking for us, that's how you find us. 6 simple letters, and you know where we're at. So, wow, what was my highlight of 2019? I'm going to cheat a little bit on this. I'm going to give a couple real quick ones here, but I'm going to say my recent highlight has got to be, I know this sounds stupid, Disney Plus is my recent highlight of 2019. I mean, it seems like prior to Disney Plus, it's like almost, when you have kids, you forget what life was like before you had kids. And that's sort of where I'm at with Disney Plus this year. It's like before Disney Plus, what were we watching? What were we doing with our lives at night at home? Now it's basically been binge watching some of the old shows, Even Stevens, some of the old movies that are out there, Luck of the Irish, and all kind of oldies. But then also watching, and I can't say enough about it, The Mandalorian. I mean, that show blows my mind every week, and it gives me a good reason to work through the week and look forward to something to do on Friday night now, is The Mandalorian. Now that's my recent highlight of the year, but I'm going to say overall, and again, this sort of goes back to our WDW POV live stream show. I'm not trying to plug it like that, but truly that has been a highlight for me. My son Marcus and I had done the show back in 2018. We'd only done, I don't know, maybe 10, 20 episodes here and there. It was hit or miss. For 2019, it was sort of like, okay, you make a resolution each year. And 2019, my resolution was action. And so I sort of filled in the blank and said, okay, let's do lights, camera, action. Let's get serious. Let's start doing this live stream. Let's do it on a regular basis. So me and Marcus, my son, he's 16 now, we started doing the show pretty much every Monday night. But here's where it gets a little bit, okay, for people who have followed our site, who see our posts on Facebook, who've listened to the show, they know my youngest son, my wife and I, Jack, we call him. He's 15. He's autistic, and so he okay. So Marcus is 16. Douglas is 15. Jack, as we call him, and he's gotten the spotlight. I mean, in the family, he's always, Marcus is there. He's always helped with Jack. He's always been a great big brother to Jack, but he gets overlooked a lot. Sorry for breaking up a little bit here, but he gets overlooked. And Jack's a great kid. Marcus is a great kid, but he never really gets to shine. So our live stream shows we've been doing Monday night, I do them with Marcus. And it's given him sort of a platform to actually shine himself. If you see him on the show, he definitely speaks his mind. He's not afraid to have differing opinions. We could, be doing a movie review about Disney. It might be the popular consensus. It's especially the live remakes, the live action remakes. Don't get him started on those. But he's not a big fan of the remakes, and he's not afraid to say it. But I got to say that overall, for my 2019, my most memorable thing is the fact that I've gotten to work with my son, Marcus, on this show pretty much on a weekly basis. And I don't tell him this, but I'm glad to be able to do it with him. He's a great kid, and I'm glad that he's got a show that he can, basically be himself, do his thing, and I enjoy working with him. It's been a real pleasure and an honor to work with my son on that. Whew. What am I most looking forward to in the new year? Again, I guess I'm a one-track mind. Definitely looking forward to, well, again, two things. I'll go with two things. One is getting a trip scheduled as soon as possible to get to Galaxy's Edge with the new ride that they Rise of the Resistance. I'm looking forward to that ride. I'd love to go on that as soon as possible. I know that it's everything I've seen so far looks fantastic. So again, I'd say overall for next year, other than obviously making a Disney visit or two or three, would be again just continuing to build on the live stream show that we're doing, trying to make it a little bit better. We continue to use technology to try and do some new things, maybe do some more interviews. Enjoyed doing an interview with Mr. Solo out there. That was fun. But basically 2020, I'm just looking forward to continuing to improve on that. Love chatting with the audience out there. That's just, we enjoy all the people that that listen, some of the regulars that come back week after week, the running jokes that go along with some of our listeners out there, what we call our point of viewers. See what I did there? Point of viewers. Got it. Okay. So I think that's I guess what I'm looking forward to for 2020. I guess I would like to again just thank all the people out there that have been a part of our WDW POV family. We truly do look at you guys as an extension of our immediate family. Just want to wish you all a happy and blessed new year. Hope it's a magical new year, and I hope all of you get to go to Disney many, many times in 2020. So just thanks again for being there.
All right. I am Justin Clark. I'm from North Dakota. You might know me if you've been listening to the Mandalorian Roundtable Reviews on the Grand Central Tour podcast. I've been on there for the last 3 shows now, probably all of them by the time you listen to this. My favorite memory from 2019 for Disney is that my wife and I went on an Adventures by Disney tour of Italy. It was a celebration of our 25th wedding anniversary, and we were very excited about that. We got to see Rome. From there, we went up to the Tuscany region and saw Florence, and then after that, we went up to see Venice. And it was a fantastic trip. Our tour guides were fantastic as well. We had Marco and Rebecca were our tour guides. Everywhere you look in anywhere in Italy, but especially in Rome, especially in Florence, everywhere you look is art, history, or usually both. It was a fantastic, wonderful trip. And we definitely want to go on another Italy trip and another Adventures by Disney trip. It was an amazing, amazing time. Looking forward to the new year, we have not 1, but 2 Disney trips already planned. One I will be talking about with Stan on a future show, but we are going to go on a Disney cruise on the Disney Wonder, leaving out of New Orleans and going to the Bahamas. That will be in February, and again, we're definitely looking forward to that. We're going to reconnect with a lot of old friends again, as we've done on many of our other trips. But the big trip for me is coming up in May. We are going to go out to Disneyland Park, and I'm going to finally get to see Galaxy's Edge for the first time. I plan to build my own lightsaber and ride on the Smuggler's Run and the Rise of the Resistance, and I am totally looking forward to that, to my trip to Batuu. Other than that, I just want to wish a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year's to all of my friends and family, especially my wife, Monica.
Hey everyone, this is Justin Cunningham with Dreams by Design Travel. You might have heard me on the solo show, episode 5, where Stan and I talked about the launch of Disney Plus and what we were excited about on there. So as far as this past year, had a lot of exciting things. I really couldn't pick just one for myself. We were fortunate enough that I was able to go to Star Wars Celebration, and this was my first time in a celebration. Got to meet a lot of great people. I'm with the 501st Rebel Legion, so met a lot of people from there, and met my buddy Stan Solo for the first time in person. We've talked a lot before, and was great actually meeting him and being there for a lot of things. I was fortunate with the draft to be able to see episode 9's original trailer in the stadium, along with The Mandalorian, and seeing all the teaser stuff for Galaxy's Edge opening. And that actually ties in with my number 2, which is Galaxy's Edge opening day. I was very fortunate that my wife was kind enough to let me travel down by myself on a whirlwind trip over 3 days, basically. Stayed outside and watched some things on our phones and listened to Star Wars music under a bridge by the boardwalk. I actually run a group on Facebook that is focused on Galaxy's Edge travel, and I actually met several people in line that were from that group that just happened to stumble across. So it was great being able to meet everyone in that line and hang out and see that land the first time, being able to go on the Falcon and everything else. And so that was really what I loved about some of my bigger things for this year. Next year, definitely another interesting year for a lot of new things coming. Of course, for me, being able to go back to Disney is a big one for us. With my trip in November, I actually went down with my family and got to see Galaxy's Edge, but wasn't fortunate enough to be able to have the time to get my daughter on the ride. Plus, at the point in time that we went down, the new Rise of the Resistance ride wasn't open. So being able to ride that for the first time, being able to try some of the new food that's coming in. I know we got 2 new great barbecue locations coming in with Regal Eagle Smokehouse and the Rodeo Roundup Barbecue with Hollywood Studios. And that Space 2020 restaurant also looks really amazing. So looking forward to hopefully snagging a few reservations for those locations and being able to check that out for the next year. But with that, we hopefully be taking my son for his first Disney race. He'll be about 2.5 at that point in time, and so we're looking to have him do the kids race, which my daughter was fortunate enough to do about that same point in time. So really interested in doing all that and seeing what all cool is coming for us in the future. I do want to wish Happy New Year's to all of my friends and family, and everyone that follows me in all of my groups. Look forward to what the new year holds for all of us. If you ever want to get a hold of me, my Facebook page is facebook.com/snapshotjustin. You can call me at 814-248-2987 or email me at justin@dreamsbydesign travel. Happy New Year, everyone.
You first?
Nah.
Ladies first.
I could say something, but I won't. Well, first of all, I just want to say thanks. I just want to say thanks for inviting us on your show. It's great. And who am I? I'm Sheila from Monorail Tales, a Disney geek for sure. I was born in England, moved to Canada, and here I am residing in the great USA.
Yeah, I guess that's my cue. My name's Rick with Monorail Tales Podcast. I have lived in the United States my whole life, so nothing quite as exciting as Sheila, but I've been a Disney fan from birth, and I'm really excited to be on here to reflect about 2019 and look forward to 2020.
Nice. If I look back on 2019, there's a few things. I think number one, I have to say about our podcast. Through the podcast, I learn more about Disney, which is always great. Making new friends, through Facebook, etc. And just the amazing guests that we've had on. And I know you've had some of them on your show as well. And dare I say this? Even meeting Rick, the one and only Rick in real life. That was quite the experience.
Well, you better believe that I was going to bring that up if you didn't mention it.
Oh, I know you would have, Rick. I know you would have. I know you too well.
It was a momentous occasion.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get over it.
Right.
Did you? I've got some other things, but I don't know. Rick, did you want to say one or two things? Then I'll follow you again.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Well, yeah, I would say I would echo what Sheila said. Really getting involved with the Disney community this year. I've had a blog for a year and a half, but joining the podcast, making friends through the podcast and through listening to other podcasts, like the Grand Circle Tour and the Solo Show, Stan. I just love doing that. Well, I drive a lot, so I listen a lot. But making friendships and meeting people in person. I've met a listener at Disney World when we were in line together at the Grand Fiesta Tour, just out of chance. And going to the Indy Disney Meet this year in Indianapolis, I met another listener and lots of other podcasters that I listen to and chat with on Facebook or online. Yeah, it's just really fun. It gives a different dimension to the Disney magic, I think.
Yes, exactly. It does. And you know what, Rick? I mean, on our last episode, I kind of asked the question, what would it be like? No, you asked me to reverse it. How does Disney enhance your life? And it certainly does. I think it makes you feel young at heart. It is that social network, meeting friends, having the same interest. And through podcasting, you get it. You get that sort of fix that I think all of us Disney fans look for, to be quite honest. I think for me, this past year, I think the other thing that really kind of stood out for me, for some reason, one reason or another, I should say, my husband Steve and I had not been to Disney for a couple of years. And to be honest, we didn't really miss it. I think, if you've been going 18 years constantly, sometimes it's good to take a step back and take that little break, which we did. But in the last month, we've been twice. So we're starting to make it back up. But there was two things on the Disney trip to Walt Disney World that I think really surprised me. I should point out, I hate Star Wars. Forgive me, people. I avoid it with a passion.
All right, this interview's over. Sorry.
No, Rick, I've got the mic. But this is where I will redeem myself, Rick, because my first steps into Galaxy's Edge, I was blown away. Words cannot describe just all the work that Disney Imagineers have put into this area. The sights and the sounds, literally, they are out of this world. No question about it. I took tons of photos, and I can't wait to get back down there to take even more. I think I was dreading going with Steve into Galaxy's Edge, but I think as soon as we got there, we split up straight away. He went and did, videoing, and I did photos, and I told Rick that Steve and I had split up, and he got really upset because he didn't know who was going to get custody of him. So neither of us wanted him, so sorry, Rick. I think the other thing that really surprised me on my trip was riding the Skyliner. I'm more a feet on the ground kind of person. And seriously, I can't begin to tell you how many times over the past 2 trips that my husband and I rode this thing. It is amazing. And for someone, who even doesn't like pirates because of the, 40-foot drop that you have to go down, going in those gondolas or whatever they call them, it was just amazing. There was a few times where it stopped, and I will be quite honest and say I had a moment of panic, but maybe that was also because Steve was trying to rock the gondola, but we didn't stop long, and we were sort of like on our way again. But for those that haven't been on it, I'm not going to say any more because I don't want to spoil it for you. But it's a must do. Even if you're like me and you're a bit of a chicken, just try it, because it might not be as bad as you think it might be. So, Rick, what do you have to add?
How can I follow that up?
I know.
I went twice this past year. One weekend in May, we went and did not go to any park, which I thought was a really fun experience. And my older daughter thought it was a fun experience. But my wife and younger 2 kids, said if we ever do it again, we have to go to a park at least one day. So, like, okay, you twisted my arm.
But you know what? Sorry. That's what we did on the last trip. Last week, we didn't even do parks. We just did resorts. And mind you, we don't have kids, so it's different. But yeah, we had lots of fun doing that.
Yeah, it was just, I guess, where we have to drive so far, it's 12 hours. So it's kind of like, well, if we're going to drive that far, we should at least do a little park time.
Right.
I guess so. And I can understand it, because my younger 2 kids they were 7 and 9 at the time. And, staying even though we didn't stay in the hotel room, we went swimming and went to Disney Springs and all that. Disney Springs is great, but it's not necessarily the most entertaining thing for a child. And my wife hates to shop, so.
Yeah, me too.
There's that. I love to shop, so I was in heaven. And then, our summer trip, even though it had lots of bumps and bad moments, not because of Disney, but because of a person in my traveling party, I just choose to remember the good times, the fun times. And my daughter and I went to the Villains After Hours event with a few other listeners of another podcast that I listen to. And that was truly a highlight of the entire trip, not only because we were doing that special event and seeing things that you don't normally see, but hanging out with other super Disney people. My wife likes Disney. She will watch Disney things with me. We watched the Imagineering Story, and she's really been interested in it, but she's not a super duper uber research fan like I am. So hanging out with people like that is just great. I think that was a highlight of the year.
When I think of next year, I think if I had to have a wish list, it would hopefully include more trips back down to Disney World, and looking at even Disneyland. I haven't been there for a couple of years, and Disneyland, as our listeners will probably, if they listen to me, will know, is my favorite park to go to, just because walking in Walt's steps. I think what I would also like to see happen next year is a meetup with our podcast crew. I mean, I've met Rick, and
yay.
I don't know. I mean, it's like you've known these people for a couple of years now, and they have become like family, and I just would like to meet them.
That is one regret I have with 2019, is that Michelle and I were both down at Disney World at the same time.
Right.
But where I wasn't doing parks and she was doing the parks hardcore, our schedules didn't coordinate to where we could actually meet up with each other. And that was kind of a bummer, because I would love to meet everybody else in person.
But you know what? Sometimes I think, well, what happens if we meet in person? We don't like each other. I mean, is that the end of the podcast? I mean, Miss Negative here. Think about it, Rick.
Always looking at the bright side of things.
And I suppose my last thing that I would like to sort of see happen is me trying to get through my list on Disney Plus, because I don't get much time for it, and my list is getting longer and longer. But yeah, there's some of the things I'm looking forward to for next year.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I wish that we could go more, but with my job, I'm busiest from January through May, and it's going to be hard for us to get away at all. So we have a really big trip planned in July where we're going to go to the parks for a few days, I think 5, and then we're going on our first Disney cruise to celebrate my oldest daughter graduating from high school. So we're super excited to experience that and see what all the hubbub is about the Disney cruise. And, going along with what Sheila said, hopefully, even if it's not in Disney, maybe we could meet up somewhere centrally located with other people on our podcast. I would just like to wish everybody a healthy, happy, and safe 2020, and I hope that it's one of the best years of your life. I hope it's one of the best years of my life, too.
And I just going to add to what Rick said, and that is to all our fellow podcasters, bloggers, vloggers, whatever you are. I just want to wish you all a happy new year and continued sharing the Disney fun in whatever you do. And to the Disney fans out there that take time to listen to these podcasts, read the blogs, watch videos, etc., wishing you a happy new year. And thanks for allowing all of us to be part of your Disney magic. Have a great year, everyone.
Hi, this is Ken Little. I'm probably best known to all of you as the voiceover guy and editor here on The Solo Show. For me, 2019 has been a fast-paced year, and even though I still haven't had the opportunity to visit any of the Disney parks or destinations, I've had a lot of fun just being a small part of the Disney community. I've learned a lot in the past few months working with Stan on The Solo Show, just by listening to his friends as they sat in the guest host chair. I've also come to a realization. You probably don't know this, but I am a huge fan of film music. My personal hero is John Williams, composer of the scores to the Star Wars films and so many others. Well, a few years ago, I started visiting some of the many internet sites that are devoted to the art form, and I realized that I was a part of a much larger community than I had known. We all communicate with such passion about the music and the composers and the films themselves, and I hear that every week now in the guests that Stan speaks with. I feel somehow that even though I have yet to visit any of the Disney destinations, I have joined this community also. I had the immense privilege of being Stan's first guest host in 2019, and I hope to continue working with Stan to bring you even more fascinating guests and stories in the new year. As we begin a new decade, I'd like to take this chance to wish all of our listeners and all of my friends and family a very safe, happy, and healthy 2020.
So there you have it. That's our New Year's show. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed recording it. I kind of like this passing the mic around and just letting everybody have their turn to speak. What did you think? What is your favorite thing of 2019, and what are you most looking forward to in 2020? Comment on this audio podcast on the Solo Show Facebook page, and let me know, what are you excited for? I also want to thank everyone for joining me on this adventure so far, and I want to thank you, the listener, for listening to these shows. It's, we would probably do this even if we didn't have anybody listening, but we really appreciate you listening. I know that your time is very valuable, and there's a lot of podcasts out there. And I really appreciate everyone that listens to this particular podcast. And I look forward to hearing from you in 2020, if I haven't heard from you yet. And if you'd like to be on the Solo Show in a future adventure or chapter, listen to Ken at the end. He explains how to do it. And with that, Ken, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Stan.
Take it away.
If you have a brilliant idea for a topic and would like to be a guest host on a future Solo Show, then drop us an email at thesoloshow01@gmail.com. Tell us your idea for a topic for the show, and we'll contact you about a date and time for you to join us as a guest host. If you would like to comment on a current show or want to keep the conversation going, then visit us on Facebook at The Solo Show. And be sure to join us again for the next adventure on The Solo Show. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.